Hi, fourth graders. It's Mrs. Evans here. It's so good to be with you, even though we're in a little bit of a unique situation right now. Welcome to our very first language class on YouTube. We're going live, folks. Here we are. Today is Magnificent Monday. We're going to have a great language class. Go ahead and grab your book, open up to lesson 101, and we're going to get to those pages in just a minute. Today we're talking about verbs. A verb is a word, it's an action word. We all know that one. We've sung that one together. But today we're taking a look at, just to be reminded about what the three main kinds of verbs are. But I'm going to take one step backwards from that. Do you remember who the star of the sentence is? If you said subject, good job for you. The subject is who or what the entire sentence is about. So before we get to verb, let's just do a quick review. The squirrel eats the acorn. Who or what is that entire sentence about? If you answered the squirrel, great. Now let's think about those two words, the and squirrel. Which one do you think is more important? Squirrel. Squirrel. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. So squirrel is going to be the subject of our first sentence. And typically we're going to just underline that one time to show that it is the subject. Next sentence, the squirrel is hungry. Subject again. If you said squirrel, good job. Lastly, the squirrel can eat many acorns. Subject, who or what is the entire sentence about? Squirrel, yes. I'm going to quickly underline squirrel just one time. Now, for every one of those subjects, there's always an action or a verb that's going to follow that. Let's review the three kinds of verbs. The first verb that we're the most familiar with is the action verb. The action verb, those are the fun ones. These are the ones that when we play charades and you act out how to swim or how to jump or laugh or sleep, those are the things that we can do. So an action verb is what the subject does. So let's go back to this first sentence. Number one, it says the squirrel eats the acorn. What is the action that squirrel is doing? Eats is correct. We always show that a word is a verb by underlining it 2 times. So the first type of verb is an action verb, but there's a second type of verb. The second type of verb is called a linking verb. A linking verb is what the subject is. Now remember our charade game I was telling you about? Do you think it would be a very fun game if I whispered in your ear, act out is, act out are, was, were, be, been? No, that would be the most boring charades game ever. It's not like swim or sing or any of those other ones. So they're just linking, they're connecting the subject to something else farther along in the sentence. Let's take a look at our second sentence here. The squirrel is hungry. Is always a linking verb. Let's underline that 2 times. But then we have one other verb, and that's called the helping verb. Now the first part of that is help. So that kind of gives you a good idea of what the job of that verb is. The job of a helping verb is to help the main verb in the sentence. It will always come before the main verb in the sentence. Let's look at our third sentence. The squirrel can eat many acorns. Well, what is the action that squirrel is doing? The squirrel is eating. But there's a little word that comes in front of that. That word is can. Can is a helping verb. It's helping eat do its job to the best of its ability. So that was a brief review on our 3 kinds of verbs. Action shows what the subject does. Linking shows what the subject is. And a helping verb comes in front of the main verb. Now we're going to get to the main part of our lesson today. The main part of our lesson is talking about Time. Now, when we think of time, we might think of a clock or a watch or like the bells that we have at school that tell us when it's time to go home. But in language class, time is referred to as the word tense. Tense means time. And there are 3 tenses in our English language that we're going to be talking about today. The first one is happening right now. And we call that kind of tense the present. Present happens now. The second kind of tense has already happened. We call that the past tense. Usually a past tense verb will end with a d sound or an ed that's been placed at the end. The third type of tense hasn't happened yet, is not happening now, but will happen one day or will happen later on today. And we call that the future tense. Now, the future tense, there's always a little word that travels in front of all future tense verbs, and that is the word will. Will always be your flashing lights that this verb is a future tense verb. So, just to review, tense talks about time. There are 3 tenses that we're going to be learning today. Present tense is happening right now or is continuing to happen. Past tense has already happened. Future tense will happen eventually. Go ahead and grab that book if you haven't already. Open up your language book to page 199. Page 199. I'm going to grab my book as well, and I'm going to move my computer so you can see a couple of sentences that I have for today. We're not going to do all of the sentences together, but I'm just going to show you a few. Thank you for your patience. Let's take a look at number 1 together. God created trees on the earth. God created trees on the earth. As a reminder, we need to keep in mind who the star of our sentence is. And of course, the star of this sentence is God. It always helps me to identify right from the start who or what this entire sentence is about. And I always like to underline our subject 1 time. You can underline your subject 1 time too in your book. The next thing that I need to ask myself is, well, what is God doing in this sentence? Is he earth? Is he the, on, trees? Is he creating? What do you think that God is doing? Answer at home. If you answer created, good job for you. Let's underline it 2 times with our pencil. Now, the next thing I'd like for you to do is let's try to think, well, when did God create the trees that are on the earth? Is he going to create them one day? Has he already created them in the past? Or is he creating them today? Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, there were trees in the past. There's going to be trees in the future. There's trees right now. Which one is it? Well, when I was teaching on the other board, I told you to look and listen for ed at the end. That's kind of our little clue that this is probably going to be a past tense verb, and past is exactly right. Let's take that pencil and write past. Go down with me to number 2. Trees are important. Who or what is the entire sentence about? Trees. Underline it once. Now, is there an action that these trees are doing? Are the trees climbing up something? No. The trees are just existing, a state of being, okay? So we're going to say that it has a linking verb of are coming after it. I know what you're thinking. That's a linking verb. We have a song for that, right? Yes! Remember it? Sing it with me. Am, is, are, was, were, be, been, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, may, might, must, can, and could. Am, is, are, was, were, be, been, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, may, might, must, can, and could. Those are our most common linking verbs in our English language. So since these trees in this sentence, they're not performing some type of action for us, it's just linking trees to another word in a sentence. The trees are what? They're important. So, are they important today? Absolutely. Were they just important in the past? No. Will they be important one day? Well, we don't see the word will. We're going to say that the trees are important right now. So let's write present because present is the time that means happening now. Jump down to number 6 for me. Number 6 says, we will always thank God for designing trees for our good. Who or what is the entire sentence about? We. Careful with this one. We, what? What is the action that we are doing? Yes, thank. But did you notice that there was an extra verb in there? Yes, it was a helping verb. It's helping out thank. And it's the helping verb that always travels with future tense. And that is the helping verb will. Underline it 2 times. Did you notice that there was a word that came in the middle between will and thank? That word was always. Always is not a verb. I call that a little interrupter. Sometimes there's words that like to sneak their way and wiggle their way in between the main verbs and the helping verbs. But we've got to ask ourselves, is it on our verb song? No. Can I do that? No. Then it's not going to be a verb here. Because we have the helping verb will, that is our flashing lights that says this is future tense, this is future tense. We're going to go ahead and write future. Very good. Let's talk through the others together, please. Go back up to number 3. Trees is our subject. Produce is our action verb, and that's happening right now. So number 3 is present. Number 4, leaves is our subject. That's who or what the entire sentence is about. Collect is the action verb. Underline it 2 times. They're collecting it right now. And number 5, scientists is our subject. Studied is our verb. Did you notice that it ended with an ed? That means it's past. Let's write past on the line. For the last thing that we have before our time is out, let's take a look at number 7, 8, and 9. They've already given us the verbs for us. They just need us to write the correct tense that matches it. Number 7, they're wanting it in past tense. So let's just add an ed. Number 8 is present. It will be just the way it is. Number 9 is future. Let's add the word will. That concludes our lesson for today. Now it's your turn to try that independent practice. If you have any questions, just mark it and let's discuss it together for our next FaceTime. Bye-bye.